YouTubers. Welcome to the next episode of Micro Shop. Thank you for taking time to click or tap onto this video. In this episode, I will be making a leather sheath for this bushcraft knife. This is a really nice bushcraft knife that I got from a guy on Facebook. He makes them. It's Stephen Van Dyke. I think you can search his page, Stephen Van Dyke Knives, or I believe it's Van Dyke Custom Knives. And so just a really nice, beautiful bushcraft knife. I don't have a sheath for it, so keep on watching, and we'll get into making a leather bushcraft sheath. Here is the pattern that I have designed for this bushcraft knife. It's just a simple, basic bushcraft sheath. I'll put a belt loop, stitch a belt loop on here. Okay, well, since my shop is smaller than this piece of leather, in length at least, I'm just using the floor of a bedroom here, spread it out a bit, and we'll begin cutting out the pattern. Okay, well, first of all, I'm going to mark it. I always look just on the back of the leather and on the cutting board just to make sure that it's no marks or scratches or cuts on the leather there. And this is a pretty simple pattern here, so I'm just going to mark it out with an ink pen. Sometimes it's always helpful to have a ruler just to get just perfectly straight cuts, so that's what I'm going to use here. Okay, and there we go. There's our sheath right there from the pattern, and looking pretty good. Okay, now I'm going to cut out the belt loop here. So I'm just going to do 1 1/4. Measure 1 1/4 there, and just go ahead and cut it. Instead of marking the line, I'm just going to use my ruler. Okay, there we go. And now taking the time to cut out the welt. So I've decided to make just a little bit of an adjustment here on this bushcraft sheath. I cut out 2 welts, and what I'm going to do is just to glue them together. And also this small piece here going to be used to make a fire steel loop, so it'll go something like this. I'll put the stitch groove in. Very handy, this little tool here. Just keeps everything lined up just right. So there's a stitch groove there for that side, and then of course I'm going to stick it in here as well, just kind of approximately where my welt will end, right there. Okay, now I'm going to do a freehand stitch groove. This is a bit challenging, but this is just what needs to be done here. So holding very steady. I just did a small pencil line there to kind of do the approximate, and okay, there we go. Now I'm going to use my number 2 edge beveler and just bevel these edges here. Okay, and I do the other side too, just so I can get a nice round edge when I go to burnish. Okay. Round that off just a bit more. One more pass. All right. There we have the sheath there. Now I'm going to go to the belt loop, and it's going to be a right hand carry, so the belt loop will be there, and I'm just going to do just a little bit of stitch grooving on here as well. One more step before the dyeing, and that is to put on maker's marks. So that's what I'll be doing right here, and the way I like to do it is just use a clamp here just to make sure it's in, gets a good impression instead of using a mallet and handle. Okay, the dye that I'll be using today is EcoFlow dye from the Tandy Leather Factory, and this is timber brown. Timber brown. So, okay, let's get to it here. The belt loop here, guys, I'm just gonna buff here with a clean cloth, and just get the excess pigment off the sheath here. A dry fit test here with the loop for the fire steel, and it's looking pretty good. A little bit of a gap there, but that's not going to be a problem, and it looks like it meets really nicely right there. So, all right, I'm pretty happy with that. I think that's going to work out pretty good. Okay, well, now it's time to stitch on the belt loop. Time to put the holes here in, and just using this, I guess it's a hobby press type of thing, and works really great. I just have an all point in there, or actually it's a large needle, and just have in there just to punch the holes in. Basically the same idea as using an awl, and gets it in there good. Holes are all punched in there, so now to get to the stitching. Alright, one thing that's always good to do, and I try to do every time as well, is burnish. Just burnish the top of this edge here. So I just have my little cheap little burnishing tool. I dampened the edge a bit, and now I'm just rubbing along there. A little bit of elbow grease in there just to give it a bit of a smoother edge, and it does look a lot better. It goes a long way to making your sheaths look professional. Okay, getting ready to stitch here, and get this going here. I'm going to use a double stitch, or sorry, saddle stitch on this one. Alright, stitching is all done on the top part, so now I will glue down the bottom part of the belt loop and begin stitching that. Okay, just getting ready to glue the welts here ahead of time just to make sure those are dry, and then I will I'll fit the fire steel loop into the edge here and cut out what I need to have cut out. So, also have the fire steel piece gluing in here first in this clamp, so just getting that all set up, and it's nice and tight in there. Right now I'm just grooving. I'm grooving the holes here, just so the stitches will lay just really nicely on the leather there. And so as the knife goes in and out, it will minimize the wear on the stitches and hopefully keep them from ripping or tearing, and extend the longevity of those stitches, and of course the entire sheath too. So